A brand new year and a brand new everyday carry kit to do street photography. So for the past 2 years, my everyday carry or EDC has changed a lot. So I've added new cameras, new gear, and today I like to talk about the new setup for street photography. All right, let's jump into it. So the theme for 2025 is definitely less is more and more of a minimalist setup. The gear I carry when I do street photography has significantly changed over the years. So I went from the classic bag with a couple of lenses, maybe a camera body or two. I actually only carry one camera and one lens, and I often don't use a bag. So it's a very minimalist way of carrying my camera. To be honest, I really love it. And I also really love that the less that I bring with me, the less choices I give myself. I try to make do with the stuff that I have. So let's start with my main EDC camera. If you've been following this channel, you probably know that in 2024, in May, I bought a new film camera. I bought the Leica M6. So this camera is my dream street photography camera. I paired it with a 28mm Ultron f2 Voigtlander lens. I love that lens. I love that pairing with my film camera. The reason why I bought this camera you can find in another video. It's linked down below, where I talk more about how I came to that decision to buy a film camera and venture into film street photography. This camera is the perfect companion to a street photographer who wants to do candid street photography, classic street photography, you know, those raw, intimate photographs that are very up close and personal, especially when you think about the 28mm focal length. I'm really loving that look right now, and I'm really inspired when I go out with my camera. So that's my new EDC camera. And before that, it was my Fuji X100V that I talk about also in some of my videos. And it's a camera that I haven't retired yet by any means. And I don't use it as frequently as I used to do. Mostly do film street photography right now because that's what I'm just obsessed with. I would like to do. I want to get better at that. Doesn't mean that I don't like digital photography. I still find a lot of value in digital photography. Maybe I'll come back and use my Fuji more, but for now it's all about film street photography. I also have a couple of new lenses. I have the 28mm Voigtlander, as I mentioned. This is the f2 Ultron. And this is a little lens, manual lens, that I bought when I bought my Leica, actually on the same day in May last year. I wasn't at all in doubt that I wanted to buy a 28mm focal length for my camera. It's been a long time coming that I ended up with the 28, and it started with my Fuji. I actually had a lens converter that converted the native 35mm equivalent to a 28mm focal length. It was a gateway drug for me to buy the 28. I love this focal length. I actually made a whole video about it, why I love the 28mm for street photography. You can watch that video as well on the channel. The next lens I have in my kit is actually a lens that I added quite recently. I bought it around November, around Black Friday. So this is the 50mm f2.2 that I bought for my Leica. This is also a manual lens. This is from Voigtlander as well. This is the color Scopar, and this is a fairly new release. So this is quite new on the market. It's also, as I understand, it's also one of the smallest 50mm lenses on the market right now. And I chose this silver chrome color because I just love this contrast. So the black body and the silver chrome lens. It's not very discreet on the street because you also have the red dot, but I just love it. But I love this setup. This is ultra small, compact setup. And yeah, it's so easy just to carry this camera around. So those are my camera and my main EDC camera and my two lenses. And often I don't bring both of them at the same time. I just pick the focal length that I want to shoot with. So sometimes it's a 28mm kind of day, and sometimes it's a 50mm kind of day. But if I want to, I can carry both because they're not very heavy. I just quickly want to give you a brief background on why I have the 28 and the 50 now, because as most of you know, especially if you are a follower, that 28mm focal length has been my favorite, but also my main focal length, so to say, for street photography. Having the setup that I have with the Leica and the two lenses, I also changed my shooting style a lot. So my shooting style in 2024 and now in 2025 is significantly different than just a few years ago. It started actually when I I bought my Fuji X100V back in 2023, I enjoyed having a smaller compact camera, and it only had a fixed lens, so you locked into just using that focal length. But for now, I would say for me, it has been a lot of changes in terms of what I like. So back in the day, I liked tighter focal lengths. I primarily shot with a 50 or 85. I really love the 85 still, but it's rare that I take it out. Mostly do day street photography now. I rarely go below f8, and my shooting style is also a little bit more, I want to capture those raw, intimate, authentic moments where back in the day I was very much interested in those pin sharp photographs. I have a few EDC bags, and the one I really love is my Wandered 3-liter sling. I think it's called Rogue. I've loved that ever since I bought it. I bought it a few years ago. But much to my surprise, I actually last year I bought this small sling, which is from a company called Grams 28. And this is a authentic, pure Italian leather, like a pebble leather, I think it's called. It's just a very small bag. And the reason why I bought this, I didn't have any intentions of buying another camera bag, but it was because I often just have my camera on my shoulder or around my neck. So often I have my pockets filled with other items, my other EDC, so my small things that I carry with me, to have all the essentials in one place. And my Wandered was a little bit too bulky, even though it's a very small sling, but for that purpose, it felt a little bit bulky. So that's my new EDC bag. I want something that is small, compact, and minimal. I couldn't find any bag that was more minimal than the Grams 28. I also have a few items that I carry with me that is related to street photography as well. So this is the film case. So this is a small leather pouch from a company called Square Hood. So this can hold up to 2 rolls of film, and I do bring a few rolls of film with me now, because in the beginning I didn't have any notion of if I could complete a roll on a photo walk, and the more experience I got, the more I could get through a roll fairly quickly. And one of the bigger lessons I learned is that always be prepared with extra rolls. It doesn't cost anything just to have one in your pocket. So this is my dedicated notebook on street photography. I haven't talked a lot about my notebooks on this channel. I mention it from time to time, but it's actually something that I carry with me and I use in my photography a lot, and more now than before. I also have a couple of pens. So I have a fountain pen, the black one, and I have a Parker standard ball pen. I think it's ballpoint pen. So I use these two, and yeah, I would say I went down the rabbit hole with the notebooks and the pens, because sometimes I just get a good idea on creating content for this channel, or sometimes I have a great idea on street photography that I just want to remember when I get home. And I'm also trying to remove myself from digital notes, even though they're very handy at times. So I lean more into my physical notebook, where I tend to write down my thoughts and ideas and whatnot. Piece of gear that I want to mention is essential for me. I've always had this on my cameras or in my kit. So I'm talking about a camera strap. The one I bought, which was also one of my most expensive purchases, was the Joe Greer short strap. And I have it on my Leica M6. And I really love it, but it was a very expensive purchase because I had to order it from Tennessee and had it delivered here in Copenhagen. Perfect for my Leica M6. It's a short strap. In the beginning, I used to have the camera around my neck. So now I just have it on my shoulder. It just works. I just carry it on my shoulder, and on my Fuji X100V, I have the Square Hood, a longer strap, which is also made of, I think it's a vegan leather, but it's a bit longer, so it's around 1 meter, and this is a lot shorter. And as I mentioned, I've always been a fan of using camera straps. I have multiple ones. One of my favorites in my other street kits a few years ago, side body, a camera strap. I have the hand strap. I do like them because they keep your camera secure. That's a very essential piece of gear in my street kit. The last thing I want to mention is my AirPods Pro. It's the second generation. They are noise cancelling. I love AirPods. I've had it since they ever produced them. But I'm one of those street photographers who goes out and have some kind of music or podcast or something in my ears. It's just for me to distract myself from the traffic and the people and the voices and just be in the zone. And for me, it just works well with listening to something. This has been one of those things that has followed me from every kit that I've ever had over the years. I don't carry any filters. I don't carry my tripods. I don't carry any other piece of item that are considered accessories. Especially not for my Leica, because I don't have a lot of gear for that except my 2 lenses. I might buy a filter like orange or red just for artistic purposes. Unless I need to go out and do something specific, I carry that in my bag then. But most days, and for my EDC, so everyday carry, I only have the items that I showed you. So it's a very light, compact, and minimalist camera gear setup. So my street kit. And the theme for this year, I can feel, is less is more. And definitely what I have right now is more than enough for me to go out and do street photography. All right, so that was my 2025 street kit, so my everyday carry EDC. As I mentioned in the beginning, my street kit has changed a lot, and I think it's also connected to how I grow and I evolve as a street photographer, and also my street kit evolves with me, which is a good thing, but let's see how it goes. All right, take care. I'll see you in the next one.